Hello everyone, it's Phil and Cam, as well as Frederick, and today we're going to be talking about wireless speaker solutions that are available from Denon, Marantz, and Bowers & Wilkins. So Cam, how are you?
Outstanding. How you doing?
Excellent.
And how are y'all doing?
Yes, and Frederick is joining us from Hong Kong again, and he is actually on vacation again, aren't you, Frederick?
Yeah, that's right. It's Labor Day holidays in, I think, most of China, Japan, and yeah, I think Europe even. So Friday morning for us, 9 a.m. Hello, everyone.
Okay. So we're going to be talking today about, like I said, wireless speakers. And of course,
watch the full live stream on wireless speakers, linked below.
So we want to talk a little bit about that. That's the main thing I really want to focus on today, and that is the Horizon and the Grand Horizon. So Cam, what are these and what makes them kind of special?
Well, so let me see where I'm in the camera here. So what we have here is the Marantz Horizon, and then the Marantz Grand Horizon. So what's really cool about these is that the Marantz was told, hey, we just want you to make the best speaker you can make. Well, what's our budget? Don't worry about that. Well, what should it look like? Don't worry about that. Just make the best speaker you can make. Go do it. And this is what they came up with. So what's really cool about this is I like telling people, think of this as an all-in-one solution, and it's a 3.1 sound solution. So there's an array of speakers here, there's an array of speakers on top, and an array of speakers on the side.
Actually, we'll show you.
And then there's a subwoofer smack dab in the middle.
Yeah.
So actually, there you go.
Exactly.
So this is a true 3.1 sound solution, and then the same for the Big Brother here. So the Big Brother has 8 speakers. Let me make sure I got that right. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. and then the little brother has 6 speakers.
Okay.
Okay.
So let's talk a little bit more about this speaker. And I really do love these because they are available in 2 different sizes and 3 different colors. The best way that I can explain these 2 speakers would be, as Cam mentioned, we were trying to come up with a great sounding, beautiful to look at object. Some people love traditional hi-fi and the look of traditional hi-fi, but some people are worried that that look is going to overwhelm or just does not fit their lifestyle. So they wanted something that was as beautiful to look at as it was, as it sounds. So these are catered towards that. I like to call it musical art. And
oh, absolutely.
So, and the funny thing about it is, I've worked in this industry for 25 years, and I have brought all sorts of black boxes and tall speakers home. And this is actually one of the first pieces that my wife really wanted me to bring home because she thought she was like, when are you getting your sample? Because it doesn't look like a speaker, but it sounds amazing. So it fits into lifestyles and locations and areas and homes where you don't want to put a speaker on the floor. You don't want to put a speaker in the wall, but you want great sound. So think of it as musical art. And if you look at this guy, if you switch back to this is a very, very beautiful speaker. So the whole thing was build something that sounds beautiful. I mean, that looks beautiful. Now, we were talking about the insides of these things. So I actually have, I'm like Mr. Gadget. Oh my gosh, that's neodymium.
Right.
So Cam was actually talking about that if I look at a speaker like the Grand Horizon, it has eight different has tons of drivers in it, right? Each one of these drivers, this is actually the tweeter cam, and this is actually the little mid-range driver. These actually utilize neodymium magnet structures. A lot of power, but while still minimizing the size there's not a lot of room in the cabinet, basically. Yes. And I'm trying to put 2 mid-ranges, a tweeter, a mid-range, a tweeter, a mid-range, and a big woofer, and a bunch of power into something that is not overwhelming in your room, a very stylish thing. So doing things like high-powered neodymium magnets make a big difference. Now, when you get into the unit, what I really loved about it is the things like the woofers. Now, as Cam mentioned, when these speakers were built, or this unit was designed, the design principle for a Horizon was build the best sounding wireless speaker you possibly can, yep, and make it pretty.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. It was
right.
designed forward as I design it well because we want this to go into homes with the design element first, mm-hmm, and then, well, design and sound kind of, mm-hmm, both.
Yes. Now, and by the way, these do command a premium. The big guy here is about $5,500.
55.
And then this guy is how much?
Actually, I think I'm wrong.
I think it is.
Yeah, it's 55.
55, 3,000?
$3,500.
$3,000. So these are premium products. So if I am someone at that price point, the fit and finish, the materials that you use, all of that stuff has to be at a much higher level because my expectations are higher. And it needs to sound good and it needs to be effortless. Absolutely. So the way I explain it is kind of like a Rolls Royce. You don't see how much horsepower is in a Rolls Royce. You just know that it is it is powerful, and it moves quite efficiently, yep, you know, and things like that. So the goal was to build something that could effortlessly fill the room, sure, and look beautiful doing it. And so one of the things they worked on, and this is an extreme example of it, this is actually the woofer that comes in this unit. And this woofer has a massive neodymium magnet in it. So normally, when I first saw this woofer, when they were designing this speaker, the woofer was actually almost as big as the basket. The unit, the woofer barely fit into the hole because the magnet was so big. But if I do that, what I end up with is a much bigger box,
big cabinet,
and it's not going to work.
Yeah.
So neodymium is an incredibly powerful magnet. And normally you see a few ounces of it, not a few pounds of it. So what this does is this has a massive amount of excursion in both directions. So it moves a lot of air quite effortlessly. If you talk to some of our engineers, they'll probably say this is one of the best subwoofers that we actually make. This product was made for Marantz. This is a Marantz design with feedback from, we know speakers pretty well. So this is a Marantz design. And there's little things like this woofer moves so far, and like when I was watching them put this together, Cam, what they would do is they would take a woofer and he would literally blow them up because they would drive them so hard. And then he would come with a razor, and what would Brendan do?
Cut into it.
He would cut it in half and take it apart and figure out why it failed.
Figure out the failure point.
And then redo it,
fix it,
redesign it, blow that one up to figure out why, to find the weak points. And it got to the point where the last thing that happened with this woofer was there's little wires that go between the magnet, normally the cone, and the voice coil, and it was moving so far those wires were smacking against the cone. So what they did was those wires are now woven into the voice coil, not to have it make noise. So huge.
Wait,
so this
here, if spin that angle.
Yeah.
You could.
If I could put it into that camera.
It?
Go that way. Go that way. Go that camera. Can't really see. It's
yeah,
hard to
not
see.
Not really. Okay.
Yeah.
But it's there.
Yeah. So this would be. They don't. Brendan and the engineers don't like to call it an 8-inch woofer, but this is an 8-inch long throw woofer that would be found in the Grand Horizon. This is the 6.5. Looks like a little mini me of the that is actually found in the Horizon. Sonic characteristics, very similar. Bass response, very similar. The main difference would be the output between a Grand Horizon and a Horizon.
1,000 watts and 800 watts.
800 watts. But then, but that's very conservatively rated. Now, what you can do, as just like with the Denon home speakers, if you want, you can pair actually two of these together into a stereo configuration. So say your wife loved the easels, or you love the easels, you could put one to the left of your fireplace and one to the right of your fireplace, pair them together and play stereo. We actually did that today or yesterday, and it actually puts out more output than this, right? So this would be 55. Two of these would be 6. With the stands is probably going to be what, 7,500. If but the output was actually higher, greater bass response, and this will beat a lot. Two of these will easily exceed the bass response of a lot of floor standing speakers, as well as the output. I think the last thing you did, Cam, was actually, if you wanted to, you could stereo pair two of these. Yeah. And he did it. He did it last night for a demonstration today, and it was frightening. Yeah. The sound quality thing. Now this goes beyond just output. This like, as I was mentioning, there's multiple customers that would buy this. The first one is someone who wants good sound, doesn't know what that good sound is, but they just know, I want something that sounds good and looks good. They're not into the numbers and the specs and how many woofers and how many watts it is, right? That's one scenario. The other scenario, Cam, I like to call it deal or no deal. You already have, like me, a beautiful hi-fi system. And I have a beautiful hi-fi system in my office. But then, if I tried to walk into my living room and put another pair of black speakers and another stack of black boxes into my living room, I probably couldn't get that passed. Sure. So, but I still want that experience. I still want that experience when I'm sitting down for dinner, and I want to have great music, right? And they won't let you have the another pair of speakers, another pair of black boxes. Or a lot of times with custom install, you'll put them in the walls, but sometimes you can't. Sometimes you don't want to. What if the ceilings are vaulted and the room is brick, or you're renting a high-end apartment in New York City? You can't be cutting into the walls. Nope. But so you can't cut in, you don't want to cut in, or you want something simpler than cutting all the wires in and running them to the back of the room. Yet I want something that blends into the room that sounds amazing. That is the next scenario for this. So we have found that many people, this is not here. We still want you to buy Marantz Model 10s, and we want you to buy Model 40s, and we want you to buy Bowers and Wilkins. You should have that. But in those other rooms where you actually want great sound and you want the very best option for that, you should have that here as well, right?
Absolutely.
So that's one of the things that we want to point out. So sometimes it's for those who aren't into audio, or people who have a higher expectation of what great audio sounds like, and it gives them the opportunity to utilize something like this in those spaces where I can't traditionally put it in there. So it is I like to call it a one-box hi-fi system.
Absolutely.
It sounds like a big, high-quality hi-fi, articulate bass, beautiful vocals, all of that stuff in a single solution. So Frederick, I've been talking a lot. Anything you want to kind of mention about these speakers? Because you've actually done a lot of shows in APAC and basically all over the Dubai and everything else with these. Can you talk a little bit about them as well?
Yeah, so we've actually have a deal where it's not only for personal use, it's also commercial use. So you will find these speakers like in hotels, for example, and there's a wall bracket. What we didn't talk about is the looks, actually, the materials that are used. So it's a luxury product. So we've got 3 different colors. We start with the Midnight Sky that gives you that bold and modern classic look. We're actually using natural stones. So it's the basis of every speaker. is sourced from Italy to Asia all the way. So the process of finding that right material, the right color, and the right veining, and that was actually a long process. So for the Midnight Sky, we're using a high polished black Nero Marquina marble with the matte black porthole. Right. So, and also we did a lot of work on the mechanicals of it. So we did some what we call FEA, finite element analysis, to determine how much stress that particular part is going to take, because it's a heavy speaker nonetheless. So there's a lot of risks when you're using natural materials. So we wanted to make sure that that part is robust, but also being able to maintain that thin, sleek look, because it's natural. Of course, every piece is unique. So the other color is Moonray, which is a little bit more subtle. It's soft minimalism, as they call it. And there we ended up using white gray Carrara marble with the matte silver metallic porthole. So it blends in places, but also stands out a bit. And then the last third color, which is also a core Marantz color, is the Marantz Champagne. So there we settled on a warmer creme beige, what we call Serpeggianto marble base, that's matching that champagne gold metallic porthole. So that marble is very unique also in terms of veining, so it makes it very luxurious.
Okay, so actually, Dirty Films is asking why is it round?
Why is it a sphere? Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a couple of things about it. The first thing is, it wasn't supposed to look like a speaker, and most speakers are square, these square looks, right? So the roundness has kind of a softness that blends in very well. The next thing is there's lots of little subtle things that this speaker has that kind of harkens back to what Marantz is. And one big part of it is like the porthole. So if you look behind Frederick, he has a pair of Model 10s. It has a porthole. Mm-hmm. This kind of look is kind of follows that. If you look here, it has kind of a wave on it, like that kind of wave. But if you look at any new Marantz product, you'll see that. So part of it was how do we make it not look like a traditional speaker and be more pleasing? And one of the ways to do it was to give it kind of this rounder, softer shape. As he was mentioning, the material is seamless. I can't tell you how many different versions of this fabric I saw because they wanted to make sure that it had a little sparkle to it without being gaudy. So it was like there was a lot of care that went into how much grain goes in the marble, what type of marble should we select, what type of material should we select, how sparkly or how reflective should that material look, and what should it look like under light.
There's 11 patents on this fabric alone because it's an eco fiber that is sourced. So the fabric alone has 11 patents on it. Mm-hmm. And I'll add to the question as to why does it have that shape, because the shape goes into, I'm trying to think of the terminology I want. What's the saying where form follows function?
Yeah.
Because the speakers
I forgot about that.
are placed in such a way that some of our competitors, like you'll never catch me calling out names of other companies and putting us against it, because I that's just something that I don't do. But some of our competitors, I'd love to get up, but I block off our cameras. Mm-hmm. But you have to be dead center in front of them for it to sound good. For us, due to our clever placement of our speaker, the Horizon and the Grand Horizon, you can be standing anywhere within the room and it sounds good. You do not have to be dead center for our speakers to sound good. So these speakers, due to the clever placement of the speakers around this speaker, it fills the room, so you have the sense of spaciousness all over the room because of the way that this is designed. Yeah. So it's clever placement of these speakers. So that's why, like I said, form follows function, or function follows form. Yeah. Do I have that backwards?
They both work. So I'm glad you brought that up. So the first thing, the front of this is not flat, which allows us to angle those speakers and fire them to make it give you a wider sound field. The next thing is the rounder shape of it also reduces the amount of refraction. If you look at the Bowers and Wilkins speaker behind him, you'll see that the cabinet is curved behind Frederick. That helps eliminate that hard surface that's going to impact your sound quality. So it makes the speaker seem more open. So being able to aim them properly, being able to have that kind of smooth, rounded shape also eliminates any kind of hard surfaces that are going to make your speaker sound boxy. The last thing is, if you look at the image, having them in that circle allowed me to have a place to put the woofer in the middle. And so think of it as if I could have had a big long rectangle that looked like a sound bar, but it would have been boxy because it would have been a hard surface. And then where am I going to put a massive woofer if I had this big long bar? Well, now I got to put the woofer someplace else. But if I take that and I kind of almost like bend it into like kind of a circle, number one, I still get that wide dispersion that I would have gotten from that hard surface square box. But now I have a middle spot that I could take a subwoofer that's far better than any soundbar that's on the planet Earth, probably better than most subwoofers out there, and place it in the middle. Oh, by the way, even the amplifiers in this unit are custom-made specific. So not only all the drivers, the cabinet, the fabric, all of that stuff was taken into account, but even the amplifier was designed specifically for this speaker.
The video's not doing it justice. It's not, because I'm looking at the video feedback right now, and it does make it look like it's just a complete circle. It's something you got to kind of see in person, because you'll see that it's angled off, and it's not a flat circle like the video's making it look.
Yeah. So so you can actually kind of see that has kind of a nice little rounded shape to it. So if you look here, I mean, the way that I've seen these is the goal is to put them. That's a little heavy guy right there. The goal is to put them or have them live in spaces and in locations where you want great sound. So this is an example of the Horizon, the smaller unit, has an optional wall mount bracket. So the wall mount bracket basically bolts to the wall, and there's basically two pins that stick out that look like, if I grab this guy here, if you look at the unit, this is the base for this unit here, it has these two poles. These two poles, the speaker slides onto these two poles. So I slide them onto the base. If I have the speaker below me here, this guy here, this stand has the poles, and you basically slide them on. Or you get an the on wall has these two poles on a bracket. Make sure you hit a stud. Wall anchors, do not put this up on a wall with wall anchors, okay? Do not do that, people. And then the speaker will sit on top of, slide onto that mount. The cool thing about it hides all the wires, and as long as you have like one of those, almost like a recessed outlet, you'll get the look like you see in the picture here of just this beautiful unit sitting there. So if you want to put these throughout a house, you can have them sitting on the floor. You can have them on a stand. So you can have them sitting on a stand. You can have them. I mean, there's a lot of different ways to use these. Beautiful way, a great way to seamlessly add a speaker to the room. Now, I mentioned that this unit has a different additional things when it comes to HEOS. So I'm going to actually have Cam hand this over. You want to use this one? Oh. You want to use, actually, because you probably have USB on your phone, don't you? Is it USB?
I do. Right. USB-C?
USB-C. So hold on a second. Oh. Producer Nick.
Oh. It's like, what's happening over there?
So we mentioned that each HEOS-enabled wireless speaker has adjustments. So I showed you the bass and treble, and if you could maybe get a subwoofer and some stuff like that. But this actually goes beyond that. So Cam, can you talk a little bit about the additions that are added to to the Horizon.
So what's really cool about the Horizon and the Grand Horizon is that it has additional things you can do with it. So what you're seeing on the screen now is that, here, maybe if I back up a little bit. So I'm going into, so I'm in HEOS, so let's start with that. I'm in HEOS, and then I'm going to click on the Grand Horizon. So of course I named it real easy so I can find it during the live stream. So it's one live stream Grand Horizon. So I click on it, and then if you can see down here the little it's funny, I was about to kind of point to it, the little EQ settings at the bottom there, and that's going to pull up sound mode, and then you see a little setting down there that says My Mirage. So that essentially is the little additional DSP settings. So this is something that the other devices that we have under HEOS do not have. This is specific for the Horizon and Grand Horizon only.
So let's talk about sound mode first, Mr. Valentine.
All right, so sound mode, what that is going to do is that's going to show you a couple different options. Out of the box is going to be in auto. And then if you folks can read the screen there, all that is going to do is put it into auto mode where it's balanced for all your inputs and for your formats. So it's just going to keep it in the auto mode. You don't have to worry about doing anything with your settings.
I will mention that we have done lots and lots of demonstrations, and because the auto mode adapts to what you're listening to, it does a great job going from whether you're going from a blues track to a hip hop track to a classical track of coming out with a very, very balanced sound.
Yes.
Now, but some people want to have other adjustments. Like, what is the Sound Master mode, Cam?
So can anybody guess what that is? Raise your hands. Oh, we can't do that yet? That's not a capability we have yet? Okay. All right, so Sound Master. So that is obviously made by the Sound Master for Marantz. So this is something that he has tuned himself. So if you want to listen the way that the Sound Master of Marantz does, you would click on Sound Master mode, and then you would be listening it to the way that the Sound Master from Marantz has tuned this to be played at.
Yeah, and the best way to do it is, because this is a Marantz product, as we always mention, all Marantz products and all Denon products are tuned by their respective Sound Masters. So if you bought a Denon Home 150, 250, 350, that was tuned by the Sound Master. If you buy a Marantz Horizon or Grand Horizon, that is tuned by Ogata-san, who is the Marantz Sound Master. So this is the mode that he designed. Some people like it. It seems it's a little more laid back. So a lot of times, in many applications, the auto is probably the one that most people go to. Now, there's also, for those who really want to dive into the unit and say they don't want to use auto, or they don't want to use the Sound Master mode, they want to make their own adjustments, then you get into what's called My Mirage, right?
Right, and so we touched on this real briefly as we started into this. So what My Mirage is going to do, so I quickly tapped on My Mirage. What my Mirage, that's a kind of a tongue twister. What My Mirage is going to do, and I'm going to start with, this is really cool, and I talk about this at every trade show I go to, because you do not have to be an audiophile or anything. This can be for anybody. You don't have to know anything about tuning amplifiers or tuning, equalizing, doing anything like that, because this literally walks you through what it is doing to your music.
Producer Nick, can you turn off this light right here? This middle one?
So
because I want them to show, because this thing, as you make these adjustments, the unit actually makes, does some lighting. So we want to make sure that we could probably see that. So,
gotcha.
Okay.
So what's interesting is as I talk to different folks, so I go to numerous of our trade shows, and as I talk to people, as I give demos and they're coming in and out, I'm finding out that, I'm going to say over 50% of the people that are getting into these units are not the people whose houses they're going into. They are the designers. These units are being sold to the designers that are speccing these into their clients' homes. So the client isn't the one who's getting their eyeballs on this first. So let's say this is being bought for a client. This is now specced into their home. They know nothing about audio. They don't need to. They're going to get this and be like, all right, my Mirage. Oh, yeah, I remember they told me something about my Mirage, and I want to now tune my music, but I don't know anything about tuning. Let me see. They said it's easy. I don't have to be intimidated. So I click my Mirage like he told me. Now it says warmth. I don't know what warmth means. Oh, wait, it tells me. It says primarily affecting bass. Positive values add depth and richness. Oh, that's simple. And then, you know what? So if I move this around, not only do I now know what it does because it just told me what it does, but I'm also going to get visual cues off of the device itself right here. So as you see, as I move, negative values are going to reduce perceived bass. And with that, my warmth is going to get cooler. And as you can see, this ring is going to the left and the color is going bluer to indicate, yeah, your warmth is getting cooler, your perceived bass is getting taken away. As I move it back up, I'm adding, as they're saying, warmth. And those in the audio world know we're adding bass, positive value. Now you're getting more bass, so that ring moved to the right and the color changed more to the orange color. We're adding more warmth and richness, more bass. So super simple for anybody to understand. So of course I'm going to bring that back to 0. And then should I turn on soundscape or is that going to mess up the speakers for the audio?
Well, what the soundscape is, if you turn on for a second, what that does is...
How's that audio sound in your ears, Nick, producer Nick? So I'm thinning it out, going cool again, taking bass away, and then I'm moving back over, adding more bass.
Yeah, it'll be hard to hear here, but one of the reasons why they put that in there is, say you did not have a source connected yet. This track is kind of a rhythmic track that allows you to hear how it impacts your room, how the sound has changed in your room. So that was the warmth one. What's the next one? Clarity?
Right, so the next one, I'm going to go spaciousness. Okay. All right. So same thing, right? Don't need to know anything about music, but if you do, that's great, but you don't have to. It tells you spaciousness is going to alter the size of your soundstage with positive values, creating a large ethereal sensation. Negative values focus sounds closer to your horizon, all right? So again, I'm going to start moving to the left, all right? So I'm going to take away, and then as you see on the horizon, is going to make the strip here on the LED smaller, trying to show you that it's trying to make itself smaller, right? And then again, going to the right, it's trying to show that it's trying to make it bigger. So it's trying to give you a visual cue that, hey, I'm getting bigger or I'm getting smaller. So not only, again, it told you what it's going to do, and then it's also visually trying to give you a visual indicator about what it's doing. And again, it has a soundscape for that, but I won't bother playing it for you because it's just not going to go well over the live stream until you listening to it. And then lastly,
put that back.
Clarity. Oh yeah, let's move that back to 0. And then lastly, we have clarity. Again, tells you what it's going to do. It's going to tune the precision with positive values, spotlighting fine details, and then the negative values are going to de-emphasize them, which can be helpful for like a poor quality recording or something like that. If it's a poor quality recording, you're not going to want all the details of that poor quality recording, so you can de-emphasize them.
Yeah, so if you're listening to a rock and roll track that's really harsh, that's a great option.
Take some of that away.
Exactly.
So again, take a look at the ring here. This is in the middle. then as I take it away, it's going to try to visually show you what it's doing. So check this one out. So as I move it to the left, I don't know if that's really coming through well on there. I kind of see the light shine on it, but it's trying to show that it's getting fuzzy. It's trying to show you that, hey, I'm getting defocused over here. Now check out when I go back to the right, I'm focusing. It's kind of like, hey, you know, I'm sharpening up. Look how laser focused I am now. It's trying to show you that, hey, we focused ourselves in real good here. And again, right back to the middle.
Yeah.
So I think that's really, really cool. And it's really something you have to be in person and listen to it with the soundscape mode in, turned on, and then have it slid left and right. It's really something you have to experience in person. But I did want to at least show you it so that you know it's a cool capability that we have added to these two pieces.
So a big part of this speaker when they designed it was first thing, utilize a really, really high-end set of drivers and a high-end amplifier circuit to ensure that I got the best possible sound. Utilize the finest materials that I possibly could to make sure that I get the most beautiful looking object. And then utilize what we've learned, Marantz has learned over the years when it comes to DSP processing, to give you a sound that seems much bigger than the speaker itself. And that's one of the things you'll notice. If I play one of these speakers, the sound seems to be coming. If I was playing the speaker right now, and it would seem like the sound was coming from where Cam is sitting and where I am sitting, if you were sitting in the middle of the room. It sounds big and spacious. Absolutely. And that's one of the things that's great. You can walk around your room. It sounds big and open. It gives you the impression of a 2-channel hi-fi system without having to have a big 2-channel hi-fi system. And that's one of the reasons why the speaker has really, that I actually really love it. So Frederick, anything you'd like to add as we go along with this?
Absolutely. The clarity could also be used in your use case. So if you do background listening, you would probably turn the clarity down because it's more fuzzy. If you do more critical listening, because that's also a use case for this particular speaker, you would increase the clarity. So based on that, there's a couple of other things also that we can talk about is how you interact with it. Like when you walk up to it, it will wake up because it has a proximity sensor in it. It's actually a laser that then will sense it will wake up.
Come back on.
Yeah. So that's
and then you can actually turn the volume up by touching certain parts of the speaker. You can actually turn the lights, turn it up if you don't have your device in front of you.
That's right. And also transport controls. So the bottom 30 degrees on the circle, those are the transport controls. So you tap once, you do pause, you tap again, it continues playing, you double tap, it goes to the next, or triple tap and goes to the previous track. So very intuitive. Actually, what we didn't mention is there's about 100 LEDs in there, and each LED is actually an element of the North Star. So you see on Marantz, a lot of older devices in terms of styling, you will see that North Star. In the newer devices, when you start up on the OLED screen, you will see the star glowing that pops up. And the older classic vintage devices, there is also the North Star embedded in it. So every single LED, every one of those 100 LEDs is actually one of those elements of the North Star. So in terms of styling, they really thought it through.
Yeah, and I remember them working on these things for years. But people have been incredibly impressed. We just did a 3-day training for a decent amount. It was like probably 15 or 20 salespeople. And every time we play it, I don't care for them or for it's a VIP guest or anybody else, they are quite impressed with this unit. We're not saying that that the traditional Marantz products are going away. We just wanted to provide another option. The analogy that I always use is think of almost like Porsche. Porsche still makes a ultra high-end sports car and designed for the most passionate Porsche enthusiasts. That would be something like Frederick has behind him, a 10 series, designed for the most passionate audiophiles that are looking for the ultimate in style, design, performance, right? But at the same time, we also want to make sure that people are exposed to what Marantz can do. And just like when Porsche said, well, not everybody can fit into a 2-seat, air-cooled, rear-engine vehicle, we're going to make SUVs and electric vehicles and give people other options. But at the same time, if you look at whether you're looking at their SUV, whether you're looking at their electric car, immediately you know that's a Porsche. It looks like a Porsche. When you get inside, the materials are like a Porsche. It drives like a Porsche. It just now can seat 5 people and has a trunk versus the old one, right? So the goal is to bring Marantz's sound that has made it Marantz one of the most popular brands for over 70 years to more users in more applications. So, and I love the fact that we introduced both the Horizon and the Model 10 in the same year, just to remind people that while we're looking for new ways to bring the Marantz sound to other people and other applications, we have not forgotten who we are and what we do. And by the way, you can have the link that comes with the 10 series is HEOS. This unit is HEOS. So if you decide, and it just shows that some of these capabilities branch all the way across all the categories, whether it's a receiver, a hi-fi piece, or even pretty much the ultimate wireless speaker that's out there. So anything else you'd like to add about this speaker?
Oh, I covered everything I wanted to cover about.
Watch the full live stream on wireless speakers, linked below.